Update. Am I the a-hole for leaving my fiancé after I learned there were strippers at her bachelorette party? Original post. What the title reads basically: I, 29 male, and my ex-fiancé, 29 female, were together for 5 years. We should have been married now in the normal conditions, but I broke up with her and canceled the wedding 2 days before it because they invited male strippers to bachelorette party. I am personally not a fan of these parties, but reluctantly agreed after both groom and bride side confirmed we would keep it simple. I told my ex-fiancé I am not comfortable with strippers or other kind of crazy things. She agreed. I also told my friends if they were to do a stupid thing without me knowing, we would have problems. We stayed at my friend's summer house and chilled there by the pool, did some World of Warcraft raids and played board games. My ex-fiancé and her friends went to a restaurant, then rented an Airbnb. There was no problem during the night. The next day, I asked how things went. She and her close friend said it was really chill and good. We returned to the city center after that. I encountered another bridesmaid that day when I was shopping for a bracelet for my ex-fiancé for her upcoming birthday. I asked that girl how's everything, as we were in the same department at a college but rarely talk now. She's closer with my fiancé than me. She said it's going good, and last night was crazy with all the strippers. After saying that, she looked uncomfortable. I asked her about the details, but she was not willing to tell much. I think she realized she should not have talked about it. I laughed, said goodbye and left. I confronted my fiancé and she seemed surprised about it. She was denying it first, then told me nothing crazy happened and one of the bridesmaids invited strippers. I reminded her that it was a strict boundary for me. I asked about the details, but she said there was nothing much with strippers, just solo dances and that's it. I told her I need some time to think. Almost all of the bridesmaids messaged me ensuring nothing happened when I was on my way back home, which is definitely not coordinated. Things happened after that, but in the end I decided to break up and cancel the wedding. I lost some money since it was only 2 days before the wedding. Things are not cool right now. My head is messed up, I get criticism from everyone, and no idea about what to do. My sister told me to see a therapist to process my thoughts and feelings. That is what I'll do next. Some mutual suggested me that I should reconsider things and stop being so whiny about such a small thing. I do not think it's such a small thing, especially when they all try to hide it from me. Am I the a-hole here? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. It was crazy with all the strippers is hugely different from it was really chill and good. This isn't just lying, this is a total reversal of the truth. Even her it was just solo dances is not the same as crazy. So they are lying. All of them, except the first one. And there's a wild double standard too. The fact that a bunch of mutuals contacted him and said to stop being whiny over nothing is telling. If roles were reversed, the mutuals would be offering to help the bride to be burned down the groom's house. Roles reversed? Bro, even my friends would burn me to a crisp for cheating on my girlfriend. It's not something anyone's friend should endorse or support. Both men and women can cover for their friends' infidelity. From my experience, the difference is men will lie by omission and just never bring it up. Women will actively lie and create cover for the cheater. A man's lie is that he was at Tony's house. A woman's lie is, it's your baby. Chris Rock. This is strangely similar to something that happened recently on 90 Day Fiancé. Because this happens a lot. Some people think that cheating in a bachelorette party is okay. It's so dumb. Oh yeah, a buddy of mine had a job programming POS system and most of it was in restaurants and hospitality. Traveled to many bachelor/bachelorette destinations and this topic came up a bunch. Pretty much all the bartenders/waitstaff said that it's more often the bachelorette parties that are wilder and have a significantly higher rate of infidelity than male bachelorette parties. They said many of them just flat out come knowing they're going to cheat on their soon-to-be husband and that some of the other girls cheating on their partners. It's rarely a, we drank too much and got caught up in the moment. In college, I along with my roommate worked out at a gym full of steroid dudes in the late 80s. Got to know a couple of guys. They were also strippers and asked if we could set props for them when they danced. Both the male and female dancers. 100% of the bachelorette parties had at least one person to hook up with the dudes. The bachelor parties were tame in comparison, mainly due I think because the female dancers didn't go along with that for the most part. At least 2 of those dudes took penicillin daily, 80s, because they kept catching STDs. Yuck. Update. I read most of the comments in the original post and thank you for the advice. My problem was not her being blindsided by her friends, but lying. Every bridesmaid told different things, and none of them gave details about what happened. I believe you can understand it just shatters the trust and makes you think there is something going on. I thought there was something wrong with me after reading the comments. There were a lot of YTAs, and I thought I should apologize. One of the bridesmaids reached out to me last evening. I suspect she saw the post somewhere and recognized it. I knew my fiancé was having problems with her friends since last week, but I did not know the extent. Apparently, my ex-fiancé and her close friends blamed the girl that I encountered at the mall about everything. This divided the group and led into a verbal fight. I will skip the personal details here, but in the end, she told me my ex-fiancé and other bridesmaids got sexual with the strippers. My fiancé was the only one who had boyfriend/fiancé/spouse there, at least monogamously, to my knowledge. Also, I was told by her that my ex-fiancé was not blindsided with stripper invites. She was happy to see the strippers and was relieved she had an excuse. I do not have proof for all of these, but I got a short video of girls making out with strippers. One of the girls is my ex-fiancé, and that's enough. She has been trying to reach out to me since we broke up. I confronted her again. At first, she denied it again. Then it became we just touched. Then okay, we kissed too. Okay, I gave him a hand job. Finally, I was coerced into doing these by others as I pressed on. I just blocked her after the last part. I did not see any need to learn further. I was hurt already, but learning that I got cheated on hurt more. I am not sure if it is the full truth even now. I will never know, but all I can say is it hurts. I will go to a therapist to not carry my luggage to my next relationship. I lost 15K from the wedding-related things. I need to focus on filling the hole for a while. Some of the people told me I am an insecure and funny nerd for playing World of Warcraft on my bachelor party. Isn't the whole point of bachelor parties having one last fun? It was raiding non-stop with the boys for me, not having one last actual interaction with a stranger, or having a stranger's butt on my face for peace. I will not miss out on these during marriage anyways, omitting the stranger part. That's it. It's therapy time tomorrow, and thank you for the help. I will never understand why people like your ex-fiancé throw it all away for one night. Because they do not want to be married. They want to have that special day and be the center of attention. They want the wedding, but not the marriage. She belongs to the streets. I have a cousin that did this. She explained to me she really never believed the other guy wouldn't leave her because she loved her way too much. She really thought true love in the fairy tale land will conquer all. Delusional, she still thinks he is wrong and should come back to her and marry. She cheated on him, and she expected him to be the one to beg on his knees? Yep, he loved her for a decade prior, and she said that she thought he would forgive her for anything, because she would forgive him for anything. Even now in her My Disneyland, she says love should overcome all. I almost envy her to be 34 and still have that thought process. But multiple women in my family agreed with her that if he truly and unconditionally loved her, he would have worked through it. I got a short video of girls making out with strippers. One of the girls is my ex-fiancé, and that's enough. I've been to a dozen bachelorette parties, and not one has turned out like this, which makes me truly grateful for the quality of the people in my life. I was at a bar with coworkers and some of their spouses and partners. A bride-to-be was calling one of my woman coworkers lame and a loser. The reason? The bride wanted to kiss my coworker's husband during her last night of freedom. Her husband said no. The bride-to-be pleaded with my coworker to change her husband's mind. A portion of the bachelorette party bag too. Like you, I remain glad none of the people in my life are like this. I hate this last night of freedom BS. You're getting married, not going to prison. And if you think getting married has cost you something you hadn't already chosen to forfeit by being in a monogamous relationship for however long, then you shouldn't be married, or possibly in monogamous relationships. Next story. Am I the a-hole for moving on so quickly after my husband left me? My 47 female husband 47 male asked for a separation on our 14th anniversary while we were away in a foreign country to celebrate. While we weren't as close as we used to be, we almost never fought, and generally enjoyed each other's company and families. We did not have any children. The night before our anniversary, he brought up he wasn't very happy in the relationship but didn't know why. The next morning, I asked to see his phone and he said no. He said I would find flirty messages with one or more other women on it. He had made some female friends through school and work, and he said he felt like there might be someone out there who was better fit for him. I said I did not want to do a trial separation, as I don't believe you can work on something if you aren't living together. If he wanted to separate, it would be final. He understood, but said it was something he had to do. After being away for only 2 days, we rebooked our flights home, flew home, and he packed some belongings and left. 7 days later, he asked to come home, and we started marriage counseling. He had a lot of trouble admitting he had at least one emotional affair. The counseling was not helpful. He was defensive and not open to it. I suspect something physical happened with the other woman, but I do not have any proof. He had deleted all his flirty texts, Snapchat, etc., so I could not see them. After 4 weeks of living together again and attending counseling sessions, he decided he no longer wanted to try to save the marriage, and he was leaving. He packed up and left a few hours later. He stayed with a friend, found a new apartment, and signed a 1-year lease. I was devastated, and even had to take time off work to process what had happened and attend individual counseling. But after the 4 weeks, I started to feel a bit better. I went out for drinks with a group of 4 coworkers that live in my area and found I really enjoyed one of them, 42 male, a lot. I'd only met him over Zoom before this. We started seeing each other a couple times a week. Quite quickly, it grew into a truly amazing, loving relationship. I've stayed in counseling throughout, as it wasn't easy to process the sudden ending of my long-term marriage at the same time as beginning something new. It's been about 7 months now. My ex-husband eventually decided he wanted to try to save the marriage again, but I declined. He says I'm the a-hole for starting a new relationship so quickly, within 6 weeks of him leaving. Our relationship was over as I can no longer trust him, and he has hurt me immensely. I do not want a relationship with someone I cannot trust. Am I the a-hole for moving on? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. He left you twice. I guess you were supposed to just sit around wallowing in tears while he went off doing whatever and whoever until he was ready to come back to you. I love this for her. I'm so glad she was able to show him that she wasn't pining away. I love even more that that wasn't OP's intent even. OP was just living her life and found somebody who appreciates her. Message to the OP here. How is that even a question? He ruins your anniversary trip, is very likely to have cheated and dated other people after the marriage ended. He wanted to end the marriage. Then out of nowhere, he says he wants to save the marriage after he destroyed it? Then says you're an a-hole for dating someone when you were single. I refuse to answer this question. He's the sour on the a-holes. Don't forget, on what was supposed to be a romantic trip, he literally said he thinks there is someone better out there for him. Like, I'm not even OP, and it hurts to see those words. So imagine hearing that from your spouse of 14 years. He wanted to break OP, make her beg, make her realize she can't do any better, so he can step out of marriage whenever he wants while she stays put, waiting for him to come home. He didn't realize that there are better men out there who value women and truly love them. X wanted a safe net, but now he realized that he just gotta be single and miserable for the rest of his life, that he did a favor to OP by leaving, so she can find a better man for her. Let him go out and play houses with whoever women, and divorce his butt ASAP. Not a-hole. He literally said he felt there'd be a better woman for him somewhere. He's cheated on you probably multiple times, so he doesn't have the right to be mad at you for moving on when he couldn't even stay faithful to you. He can't try to get rid of you and want you again. Not a-hole. He wanted out, and you let him out. He has no claim on you. He may have realized that he messed up, but that is not something that you need to help him recover from. He gets to sleep in the bed that he chose to make for himself. I wouldn't respond at all to him unless you want to respond with laughing emojis. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not forgiving my mom and my sister's wedding? So for some background, my mom left me 24 male and my twin sister 24 female when we were 6, and it screwed with us for a long time. We used to have to get therapy sessions because the way she left was so jarring for the both of us. 16 years later, sometime after our 22nd birthday, she reached out, saying she wanted to make up for lost time and that she was sorry. I wasn't up with that idea, but my sister was. My sister decided to go ahead and give her a second chance, and I never gave her grief on that. But she always hassled me, saying I should hear her out and that she's our mother. And to that, I humbly declined. I told my sister that our mother doesn't get to decide when she wants to be in or out of our lives, and that she doesn't get to clear her conscience with me because my time is worth way more. My sister respected that for the most part. Flash forward to now on my sister's wedding. She told me before that our mom was gonna be a part of the wedding, and I didn't make a big deal because it was her wedding. And if she wants that woman to be there, then who am I to say no? I just told her me and her would most definitely wouldn't be communicating at the event, and she was okay with that because she knows that that's my way of keeping the peace. At the rehearsal dinner, everyone showed up and had a good time, but my mom kept trying to engage in conversation. I ignored her and tried to keep away from her. My mother then decides to corner me with this victim spiel, saying that she wasn't ready to be a mom at a time and that she just wants a relationship with me, and how she didn't understand why I didn't want to talk to her. Now, mind you, I always said I understand that she wasn't ready to be a mom. But that doesn't mean I have to be okay with being abandoned, nor do I owe her that luxury of being forgiven. I told her to leave me alone and respect that I don't want to get to know her or be in her life. She started crying and making a whole scene, and said she couldn't come to the wedding anymore. My sister is saying I ruined her chance to have her mom at her wedding, and that I couldn't put my petty pride aside for her. All I could tell her is that her mom made a decision not to show up for her. That has nothing to do with me. The wedding isn't about me. So am I the a-hole here? She's still choosing herself over you and or your sister. If she really cared about you and your feelings and your sister's, she would have allowed you the space to come to her on your own, and she would have attended the wedding. But she had to show her true colors, that it's always been about what she wants. I'm sorry for that. I hope you had a good childhood despite her. Hugs to you, not the a-hole. This times 100. Your mom is being selfish and entitled, and she's hurting her daughter again. I'd like to tell your sister that she tried to build a relationship, but she did all the work. It was not fair, and I hope that one day her mom recognizes what she did. I doubt it because it's more comfortable to be the victim than to take responsibility. She's just as selfish now as she was when she left. She's learned nothing. Absolutely not the a-hole. Your mother has some nerve. And you are right. She has yet again abandoned your sister. You did nothing wrong and don't owe that woman anything. I'm sorry for your sister, but she's mad at the wrong person. Mini update. I appreciate all the comments. My sister didn't uninvite me because she knows that I love her regardless of any situation, and I'll show up anyway. But she has expressed she was really hurt by our mother opting out. I had to sit her down and tell her to talk to that woman because it makes no sense for her to not come just because I don't want to talk to her. My sister is calm now, but I'll keep everyone updated. Update. Am I the a-hole for not helping my daughter? Original post. My daughter, a 22 female, went no contact with me 2 years ago. Before this happened, I was warning her about this guy she was dating who was full of red flags. He bombed her and isolated her from her family and friends. She dropped out of college despite my pleas to reconsider. She decided to move in with him, and since then, I never heard from her directly, but she would often ask my family members to ask me for money. The last thing I heard about her is that she has a 1-year-old child and her life is basically falling apart. The love of her life turned out to be a monster, and she is working 2 jobs to keep her family afloat. The friends she abandoned are now done with college and starting new careers in corporate, while she works at a dollar store and does Uber. A family member showed me a screenshot of my daughter's Facebook post, basically calling me an a-hole for not stepping up and helping her. She also ranted about me not supporting her to finish college, unlike her friends' parents. I don't have much extra money and I am saving for retirement. She dropped out when I begged her not to. Plus, she also blocked my number. She knows where I live but has never attempted to drop by. Am I the a-hole for not reaching out and offering help? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Well, she got what she wanted. She lives with her beloved and she's the one who broke off the contact. She didn't give a damn about you. She pays for stupidity. Not the a-hole. Yeah, she did not give a damn about me. She only lives 10 minutes away, but never ever drops by to say hi, yet expects me to touch my life savings to help her out. I am thinking I could run out of money helping her, and when I need help, she won't be there at all. Your daughter hasn't learned a damn thing and isn't worth your money. The fact that she didn't try to talk to you and admit her screw-ups, but instead lied about you on Facebook to make herself look like an innocent victim is proof of that, not the a-hole. This is why I am so conflicted whether to help her or not. I feel like I should help, but it won't do her any good at all. She would probably expect me to help all the time till my savings run out. Your daughter is a narcissist and is trying to manipulate others into helping her because her parent is an a-hole for not stepping up and helping her, while she never even attempted to make contact. Not the a-hole. It's sad, but it happens far too often. It's also sad that nowadays it is so easy for people to go no contact, but still expects you to reach out and help no matter what. Now for the update. Thanks everyone for your input. I sent a message to my daughter via a family member on Facebook and my son, and they both came to my house last night for dinner. I told them it was an open forum where we could air our grievances against each other, and from there, we would sort it out. Daughter hates me for not trying hard enough to reach out to her when she moved in with her boyfriend. She also hates that I never tried to accept her boyfriend. My reason is that she decided to drop out and be an adult. I felt disrespected by the hurtful things she said, and by blocking me, I got the message she did not want me around. I can never accept her boyfriend. He cheated on her many times and does not work. I am disgusted. Son hates me for not giving him the extra money I had saved for the rest of my daughter's college. He also said that if I didn't want to give it to him, I could have given it to her when she got pregnant. The reason is that I paid for his college too. Since my daughter did not finish, whatever extra money I had saved for her tuition, I moved it to my retirement savings. Why would I give it to him when I already paid for his education too? He graduated with 0 student loans. Also, why would I give it to her just because she got pregnant? Being an adult means you are responsible for your decisions. Me? I am disappointed that my daughter dropped out, moved in with her boyfriend, got pregnant, and is now living a hard life. I told her I worked my butt off to give her a good life, and that she was my little princess. I never wanted her to experience hardship in life, but she chose this life, and this is her reality now. I'm disappointed at my son for cutting me off and disrespecting me when I try to reach out. All in all, we were civil, but they suggested that I get a reverse mortgage so they can get their inheritance early, and that would help them buy their own houses. I said I would think about it. Yes, the classic, let's air grievances so we can hit you with new ways to disappoint us strategy. You're not the a-hole for standing your ground, but let's not sugarcoat it. Your kids are treating you like an ATM with a guilt trip feature. Your daughter expects you to welcome her chronically unfaithful, unemployed boyfriend with open arms, while your son seems to think extra money means my money now. And a cherry on top? They want you to risk your financial security so they can buy houses. Bold move, considering their track records in adulting. You've done your part. You funded their education, or attempted to, reached out despite being blocked, and hosted them for dysfunctional dinner. If they want to play the "you're a bad parent" card, remind them that being a parent doesn't mean you're obligated to enable bad decisions or jeopardize your future. Keep that retirement fund intact. Sounds like you'll need it for peace of mind. This was a hostage meeting. They're withholding contact and affection unless OP pays them off. Having your college paid for is a freaking gift most kids would be grateful for. But the son is mad at dad because 1, he didn't get the balance of his sister's college fund, and 2, some weird convoluted grievance on his sister's behalf. It's all about the money. If they got it, they'd still be low contact with OP. Not the a-hole. Oh, hell no. You paid in full for your son's college, but that's not enough for him? She ignored solid, loving advice and cut you off, and she thinks it's your fault for not reaching out to her. So you should jeopardize your future to benefit these greedy, immature, and selfish people who will absolutely not be in a position to help you should you need it as you age? It's hard for a parent to refuse to help, but you must. You have done more than enough, and they have to grow up. Her reasoning was, parents should let the kids make mistakes and then help them pick up the pieces. I said, heck no. My duty is to make sure you don't make life-altering mistakes. She said nobody's perfect and people make mistakes and that's part of life. Ugh. Lol, screw them. They're already talking about getting inheritance from you. As in you dying? Entitled little shits. I wouldn't give them anything. Yeah, that's very entitled. Also, I'm only in my early 60s. My house is paid off, but getting a reverse mortgage is risky. Don't do it at all. You have paid off that house with your hard work, only to go into debt again? Come on. Yeah, I am not going to do it. Their reasoning is that boomers had it good, since we can afford a house. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my deadbeat father's wife and daughter to leave me the heck alone? My dad walked out on me and my mom when I, 19 male, was a baby. He didn't pay child support, never saw me, didn't show up at court at any point, and never reached out to me. I always had questions about him, but my mom was always way too nice about it until I turned 18 and she laid it all out for me. She even showed me the file she had for court that showed all the times he didn't show up, how much money he owed, and the fact she chased after child support for years, but he always found a way to avoid paying. For 6 years, she tried to chase him through court until she gave up the fight and let the debt compile because it was costing her money and was taking from her ability to support us. He was the truest definition of a deadbeat. I have nothing good to say and no interest in establishing a relationship of any kind. In September, I got a friend request from this woman on Facebook. We had no friends in common, so I ignored it. Then I rejected it. She sent it again, so I accepted because I found it weird. A day later, a request came from a girl and I rejected that. But just like the other account, she sent it again. I saw they were friends, so I left it ignored. Then, a DM came from the account I had accepted a request from. Turns out, this was my deadbeat father's wife and oldest daughter. They wanted to find me because they felt I should know my family and that I was now old enough to decide for myself. I told them I wasn't interested and to please leave me alone. I unfriended the wife and blocked both accounts and went private. But my Facebook is linked to my Instagram, and the daughter tried to reach me there. She said I didn't know the truth and deserved it, and how she and her siblings always wanted to know their older brother, and how her whole family was hoping we could all come together as a family. I blocked her there and ignored it. The daughter found another account of mine on another platform and has pestered me there ever since. It's constant new accounts, and I have reported some. I tried replying once more, saying I'm sorry she got her hopes up, but I'm not interested. The next day, I had messages from both the mother and daughter, saying my mom was the reason I didn't know my deadbeat father, and how she was abusive and awful and he had to leave. He hated walking away, but claimed she was dangerous and awful to be around, and I deserved to know the kind of thing I was raised by. And yeah, his daughter called my mom a thing. I responded that they were making a lot of accusations and defending him so much, but he left me with a supposedly abusive mother and made no attempt to save me from it in 19 years. And that tells me all I need to know about that man. I said once again they needed to leave me alone, and I wasn't going to have a relationship with any of them. I thought they were finally going to leave me alone. But then before Christmas, I got a long message from the two of them that basically gave me the sob story of a man who loved me, but feared my life would be worse if he stayed, and I'd be abused worse, and how he hoped my mom would abuse me less if he wasn't around. I didn't even address the rest. I told them to leave me the heck alone before I go to the police for harassment. I told them I would if they pushed it. The wife flipped out on me and said how dare I speak to them in such an abusive way, and clearly I'm a mother's son. She told me I should be ashamed of speaking to a teenager that way, who did nothing but try to love me. She is so mad that I had to turn my phone off because I kept getting notified of all these messages. I tried to stop them contacting me there, but the feature to stop them seems to be wonky on my account. I did go to the police, but I need to keep all of the messages going forward to make a case for anything. What I had wasn't enough. So yeah, am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You stated your boundaries and they should respect them because at the end of the day, you get the last say, not them. You should just block them everywhere and put this behind you because they have no right to disrespect you like that. Sorry if my comment is a bit off the hinge. This post just made me a bit mad. They keep making new accounts on this platform since I can't stop non-followers from DMing me on there. The feature does nothing. Go after your deadbeat father for the accumulated child support. That might shut them up. Exactly. Just because you're of age now doesn't mean that debt goes away. Some deadbeat parents and their enablers believe the financial slate is wiped clean, and it is not. Even though my son is 34, my calculations are my son and I are still owed more than $60,000. Go get your bank, because you'll get your peace. He left because she was abusive, but never paid child support, presumably get paid under the table to avoid getting garnished, and has never actually reached out himself? Yeah, he is full of shit. Correct. Didn't even reach out when they found me online. Not the a-hole. I would look into any services that will help you go after him for the back child support. Maybe you can get his license taken away or his wages garnished, since he wants to harass you through his wife and kid. Even if it's not him leading this, I've talked to my mom about trying. We both agree either he screwed himself over, or his wife and their daughter did. But either way, we don't care, and he needs to pay now. Last story. Am I the a-hole for cutting off my family/parents for leaving on a trip when I was being induced to deliver my stillborn son? I was 28 weeks pregnant with my second child, my son, when he passed, and I had to schedule an induction. My parents were set to leave on a trip/cruise the day before. This trip was booked before I even became pregnant. They told me they couldn't cancel because they booked this trip with a group of relatives and would worry that these relatives would get lost without them. I acknowledged that I never spoke up to ask them to stay. I didn't want to beg anyone to be there for me. My parents were supposed to watch our daughter 7 when it was time for the birth. Since this was sudden and with my parents leaving, we were scrambling to arrange care. I was in the hospital for 3 days. My cousins came to visit and my parents called, thanked them for being there for me, and explained that they couldn't cancel their trip. It felt wrong that my parents were thanking other people for being there for me during the most traumatic time of my life. Nothing could ever make me get on a flight and leave my daughter if she was going through this. My parents were also posting pictures and videos on social media the entire length of their trip, knowing what I was going through back home. My parents came home from their trip a week before the funeral. I didn't talk to them at all. I answered one of my mom's calls and said I'd consider forgiving them if they both apologized. She said sorry and that her trip was terrible because she lost her luggage. That if she could do it over again, she wouldn't go because of her lost luggage. I told her they're bad parents, and I haven't picked up another one of her calls since. My dad hasn't tried to reach out. Some context. My parents also weren't there when my daughter was born. They went on a trip, which they booked after I was pregnant and left 2 days before my due date. I had an emergency C-section and complications with that delivery. I'm the eldest of 3, and my parents have always treated me differently. Worse, my sister is the golden child. This is not to diminish the childhood trauma my siblings experienced on their own. My sister and her fiancé think I'm being harsh/an a-hole. They think that this one thing doesn't make them bad parents. My sister's fiancé says he wouldn't have canceled a trip. They don't think my parents being there for me would have made a difference. When I said this is the worst thing my parents have done to me, they disagreed. I felt invalidated by them, so I cut them off too. They can't understand why I've cut them off and say they were questioning me to understand my feelings and trying to help me get over it by sharing their perspectives. My sister said she likes hearing others' perspectives and opinions, so I guess I should too? They don't get how my anger toward my parents is part of my grief. So am I the a-hole for being mad at my parents for not canceling their trip that was booked well before I was pregnant? Am I the a-hole for cutting off my sister and her fiancé for voicing their opinions? That lost luggage comment was so incredibly cold. You are losing nothing by cutting them out of your life. These people are strangers to you. That, along with this from the sister and her fiancé. When I said this is the worst thing my parents have done to me, they disagreed. How dare they decide what OP feels is hurtful? Just out of morbid curiosity, what actions were worse than abandoning you during this time? Not the a-hole, and your sister is nuts. They think the way my parents reacted to me telling them the news I was pregnant with my daughter was worse. My parents shamed me and berated me and basically told me I'd accomplished nothing in life. I was living apart from them with my husband already, and I was 27, with my own career. I don't feel that was worse than this, but they do. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but you told them you understand that they can't cancel the trip, then got mad when they proceeded to go on the trip? You need to assert yourself. You can't say one thing and expect the other. I never told them I understood. They told me they couldn't cancel, and it was clear they weren't going to, so I didn't say anything. I was in shock at a time and just trying to survive. Asking people to be there for me was the last thing on my mind, to be honest. From what you've said so far, I don't think asking them to stay would have changed anything. They were already giving you reasons why they couldn't cancel without you asking them. The luggage comment is just the icing on the cake. Stick with people who have empathy. If you want to have your sister back, tell her the subject of your parents is literally a dead issue as far as you are concerned. I am so sorry for your loss.
Am I the a-hole for telling my mom's husband he needs therapy when he tried to guilt me into letting him walk me down the aisle? My mom married her husband James 3 years ago. I, 25 female, was not living with my mom at the time, nor will live in the same state, so I haven't really interacted with him a lot. I got engaged during lockdown last year. We are planning to get married when everything is safe again. I asked my mom if she would walk with me. She said yes. Everything was good. Then James approached me about 2 months ago saying he would like to walk me down the aisle. That he knows he can't replace my dad, but he loves me and my mom, and would love to feel the father of the bride role so I can have someone in it. I told him my mom was filling the parent of the bride role, and that made me happy. He pushed a little, told me it made more sense for him to do it. I said no. My mom told me he had just wanted to make the suggestion because he felt maybe I would prefer it. I didn't want to fight, so I left it alone. Then he came to me again. He talked about how he lost both his girls. His wife and daughters died almost 20 years ago, and how much it would mean for him to be accepted into that role and would give him the chance to do that with another daughter. He told me even if I don't want it, would I do that for him, so he would have some healing and a chance to be in the role with someone. I said no again, and he told me I must be very cold to know what it's like to lose a father, to do that to someone who lost both his children and is reaching out and offering to do it for you. I told him maybe he needs therapy if it's so hard, and he's so caught up in the loss of them that he can't see me as my own person, and as someone who would want my remaining parent to walk with me and fill that role. He was offended I would make that suggestion. My mom then bent over apologizing after she heard what happened. I guess she hadn't known the whole thing from before. He's still, I want to say salty, but he's still offended and thinks I overstepped. Did I? Am I the a-hole? And before anyone asks, my fiancé and I are paying for the wedding ourselves, and he is not contributing to anything. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. He told me even if I don't want it, would I do that for him? Huh? You barely know the guy and he told you to disregard your own feelings on your own wedding day? Tell him to GTFO. What is he on? What kind of man has the audacity to ask a woman he barely knows to turn her wedding into his personal therapy session? Does he really believe that a 45-second walk with a stranger is going to cure him? Why is he asking her to give up what she has planned on an incredibly important day just to cater to his wants? He could have slapped her face and said, "You mean nothing. I'm the only person that matters in this world," and it would have the same effect. If only we had a word to perfectly describe this kind of person. Oh wait, narcissist. Not only is the OP not an a-hole, but she actually made an astute observation that her stepfather is indeed in need of therapy to unpack and process some of his feelings of grief and loss that he has obviously not dealt with sufficiently. Okay, y'all are starting to get a little carried away with the insults. Obviously, OP is not a-hole, but that's because she's 100% correct. What kind of man has the audacity to ask a woman he barely knows to turn her wedding into his personal therapy session? The kind in desperate need of therapy. No, OP's wedding is not the place, obviously. But God knows there are few kinds of trauma more damaging than loss of a child. And I say this as the child of 2 dead parents. 1 cancer, 1 self-deletion. Both before I graduated college. I've gone to therapy, and I'm still hurt. But man, the thought of losing one child, let alone two, rocks me to my core. Trauma like that puts you in a headspace that makes clear lucid thought a cruel joke. He can only see himself there because he is deeply, deeply traumatized from all the hours, days, years spent sleeplessly imagining all the moments he could have shared with his kids. Cut him some slack before he gets too mean with the name calling. He really does need therapy though. Not today, Hall. My dearest cousin JK lost both her parents when she was in her early 20s. When we heard the news that she was getting married, my parents RM and V had a long discussion with each other and decided they would be graciously willing to play the roles normally reserved for parents, hosting the rehearsal dinner, giving speeches, walking the bride down the aisle. So they called JK, and she was simply speechless. Finally, after regaining her composure, she gently told them they weren't even invited to the wedding. Not the a-hole. If you guys were really close or he's married to your mom for let's say 10 plus years, cool. But he overstepped here, and instead of backing down, he starts to guilt trip you? Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for being upset that my stepdad left me with nothing? My dad passed away when I was 10. I was very close to him, a real daddy's girl. When he passed away, I was devastated. 3 years after his death, my mom remarried to my stepdad. While my stepdad was nice to me and my younger siblings, I did not see him as a father. I saw him as my mom's husband. When I was 17, he asked to adopt me, and I declined. I did not want him to replace my real father, but my younger sisters had no such problem. Because of that decision, I've always felt like he has tried to subtly punish me for not agreeing to the adoption. He has excluded me from many things. When my younger sisters graduated high school, he did a father-daughter trip with them to celebrate, and he didn't do so for me. When they graduated college, he attended their graduations. He did not attend mine as he was feeling unwell, although he never specified what he came down with. He posted multiple times on social media about how proud he was about their achievements, but he has never done so for me. When I got married, I chose to walk down the aisle alone. My stepdad didn't say anything, but I know he was upset as he privately complained to my mom, and she tried to get me to change my mind. After my wedding, he was completely silent on social media. He congratulated me and my husband one time, and then just seemed to forget about it. When my two younger sisters got married, he was full of pride and happiness and posted so many pictures, selfies, and long paragraphs about how beautiful the ceremonies were, how wonderful my sisters looked, etc. I always thought that I was overthinking and that these actions could be explained away. At the beginning of 2020, my stepdad was diagnosed with an aggressive terminal illness and he passed away last month. During his last days, he did not want to see me, but he did want my sisters and my mom by his side. I was the only one singled out. I respected his wishes, but it hurt so much. When he passed away, he left handwritten letters for my sisters and nothing for me. My younger sister was his favorite, got over 20 handwritten letters from him, and a special engraved necklace from him. I didn't even get one letter. I feel so hurt. Am I the a-hole for feeling this way? I tried to talk to my husband about this, and he says I'm making my stepdad's death all about myself. I want to talk to my sisters about this, but my husband says it is selfish to do so as they are all grieving. I feel so deeply hurt. Sorry, but you're the a-hole. You kind of excluded yourself. Your siblings were happy to have him as their father. You declined. When my younger sisters graduated high school, he did a father-daughter trip with them to celebrate. Because they had a father-daughter relationship. I did not see him as a father. Your siblings did, so they got him as a father. You got him as my mother's husband, which is how you chose to get him. You excluded him from the father role at your wedding. It doesn't seem like your siblings did, so they got the happy father experience. Again, something you declined. Chose your own path. I mean, he literally asked Opie if he could be her father via adoption, and Opie said no. He wasn't subtly punishing Opie for saying no. He was accepting what she told him about their relationship. She kept reinforcing that lesson, and now she's surprised he didn't think of her as a daughter in spite of her literally telling him not to think of her as a daughter? Yeah, you're the a-hole. I don't understand this position. He asked his stepdaughters while they were children if he could adopt them. Then, he tangibly rewarded the stepdaughters that agreed, and iced out the one that didn't. He was the fully formed adult. He should have treated them all the same relationship with all stepdaughters, adoption or not. Sure, he might be closer to the others, but that is a different issue. Also, sounds like the OP's mother went along with it. Mom may be the a-hole. We see the opposite on the sub all the time. An OP vents on the sub about how their step-parent won't respect their boundaries and keeps pushing for a parent-child relationship. This step-parent took OP at her word and backed off. OP said did not see him as her dad. Her sisters did. Why would he keep trying to do father-daughter things with a 17-year-old who told him that he is not her dad? You're the a-hole. He asked if he could adopt you, which is him taking you under his wing as a real daughter. You declined, so why should he care for you as if you were his daughter? It's not his duty to take care of you or even care for you if you refused his offer of parentage. You deserve nothing, and you got nothing. Move on. Would I be the a-hole if I say I don't want a father-daughter dance with my stepdad? I'll try and keep this brief because I see similar posts have been posted lately. I'm 24 female and getting married. I asked my mom and stepdad to walk me down the aisle. I said I didn't want a father-daughter dance with him, but offered a spotlight dance for the two of them. They were not happy with that. He asked me if I would ideally like one with my mom, and I was honest that, yeah, I would. But I was trying to be sensitive to everyone's one, so compromising. He went away hurt. My mom told me I should reconsider. She told me it was rude. They went back to me about 2 weeks after the initial discussion and said a spotlight dance for them did not make up for the snub of no father-daughter dance. And especially when it's not that I don't want a parent-bride dance, but I don't want one with him. They told me we needed to discuss it more, so we did. Which I kind of regret now because it was a rehash of the same stuff over and over again. The other night, my mom called and said I need to give this more thought and reconsider doing it. She said that I could have one with each of them, and that would make everyone happy instead of them having a spotlight dance. She said he has raised me since I was 8 and has been a good father figure to me, and has supported and loved me most of my life. All of this is true, but, and I know this will likely be what sways some people, he was always second best to me in terms of my longing and grief for my dad who died 8 months before he and my mom got married. He could just never take that role. I'm not sure anyone could, because my dad was amazing. He loved and supported me, encouraged me to follow my dreams, thought of me right up until the very end. He left letters and videos for me to mark every milestone he would miss as well as other things. I have so much love and some great memories of my dad, and I just never found that kind of love for my stepdad. It's not that I don't appreciate him being there for us, and I know he tried, but I never felt even half of what he feels for me. It's part of the reason I never let him pay for college, though he offered. Because I didn't want to feel like I was taking advantage of someone's love for me when that love is not reciprocated. So now I'm just... I don't know. I could say I have changed my mind, but in truth, I don't want to dance with him. If I had my wish, it would be for my mom, and just my mom to walk me down the aisle. But she would never consider that. Would I be the a-hole if I say I don't want a father-daughter dance with him as my final thoughts on the matter? Now for the comments. No a-holes here. You feel how you feel, but I can also understand why you would be hurt. Yeah, I get it. Not the a-hole. You've already compromised your wedding by having them both walk you down the aisle, which most people view as the most important parent-bride part. While the dance is lovely, I don't think it's as maybe important. Like, if it was missing from a wedding, it would not be as noticed, while a bride not being walked down the aisle would be more noticeable. I don't think you need to compromise further, and I have moved this judgment into the a-hole territory, because despite already getting to both walk you down the aisle, they are requesting more from you on your wedding. No a-holes here. You can't help the way you feel, and if you tried explaining how you feel and why you feel that way, he should try his best to accept it, even if it may be hurtful. I'm not telling you what to do, but maybe at this point nix the parent dances altogether so no one person is jealous or hurts over another. It is your day, and you can do whatever you want. A biological parent figure is something no step-parent can fully replace, even if they are loving and the best step-parent ever. The dance with my mom isn't happening anyway. I knew it would be off the table, so I just suggested they do one together. It only came up because he asked me directly. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my 3 sisters out of my wedding after they came with their kids? My wife and I got married 2 weeks ago. We wanted a child-free wedding, so we've let everyone know. My family/in-law/friends and relatives, and everyone was okay with it, except for my family. I have 3 sisters, all with kids from 2 to 10. My mom said it was illogical to not allow kids since 1, this never happened in the family, and 2, my sisters live towns away, so the kids can't be left alone. After a lot of arguing and others getting involved, I stood my ground and they agreed to not bring kids. At the wedding, no one brought kids. My parents and aunts were already there, but then I saw my 2 sisters arriving with their kids. I immediately went to ask what's the deal. They began arguing with me when I said I won't be letting them in with the kids. Then I saw my older sister came with her kids in the car. I was pissed. I asked why they decided to go against the rule and bring kids. My mom started yelling at me when I told my sisters they weren't allowed in with the kids. Everyone was yelling at me. I had to get the security involved to make them leave. My parents and aunts left shortly after. They were so pissed at me, and I got nasty texts later, and my cousin posted about my crappy wedding on Facebook. Days later, I've gathered a family and explained what they did was wrong. I asked if I allowed my sisters with their kids, what message that sent to my in-laws and friends who wanted to bring kids, but they couldn't. My sisters argued with me, and it turned out my mom told them to bring their kids and should deal with me later. I told them they could have arranged for a babysitter, but my mom said they wanted to celebrate as a whole family. Said that I ruined my own wedding by making a scene, and everyone will always remember my wedding as a disaster. A crap show because of mine and my wife's child-free bull. They said the only way to fix it is to have another wedding/party and include everyone, especially kids. I called them unreasonable. I asked Mom where the hell she got the nerve to even demand that. They blamed my wife and claimed it was deliberate. I left. They started talking to my wife, trying to convince her that they don't approve of what happened and that they're giving us the chance to fix the situation. Otherwise, the relationship is damaged. This caused me a headache, and I don't think what I did was wrong. I just want them to have some respect for my wife and her family. Not today, Hole. Your wedding. You set the rules and the guest list. Kids weren't on it. They broke the rules intentionally and they suffered the consequences. Stand your ground. Exactly. Do not throw that second party, because it only sent a message that you were wrong and they were right, and you shouldn't have held a child-free wedding. Don't argue about it anymore. Just do the broken record thing. Keep repeating you knew the rules and guest list. You intentionally broke your word when you said you weren't going to bring the kids. It's not my fault you face the consequences of your own actions. Just keep repeating that over and over again, no matter what they say. Not today, Hall, but do throw a second party. At the second party, don't invite mother or sisters. If you want to, invite their kids, with the condition they, mom and sisters, are still not invited. Not today, Hall, and your family's massively crappy. I'm betting this isn't the first time they've tried to bully you to get their way. Tell them to pound sand. Exactly. The fact that they agreed to the no kids rule but did it anyways just screams they think they are better than everyone else and above the rules. Not today, Hall. You asked them beforehand to not bring kids and they did anyway. Also, kids count as regular guests for weddings, and it's not cool to bring people that's not invited, especially when you have to pay per person for food, chairs, etc. Right. That in itself is an issue that I didn't have the chance to explain to them.